The South African Friends of Beit Hatfutsot explore the rich history of the South African Jewish community through cataloguing the Jewish experiences in South Africa. Concisely written by a team of researchers, each of the volumes in this series of 5 books focuses on a different region of the country and the Jewish communities therein.
In 1984, the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, the South African Zionist Federation, and the museum in Israel called Beit Hatfutsot, which means the House of the Diaspora, wanted an exhibition of the Jews of South Africa. So Rose Norwich, I'm co-chairman here now, Rose Norwich is the other co-chairman, and she was the curator of this exhibition of the Jews of South Africa. It went to Israel, it went all over South Africa, and was such a success that the people concerned, who helped her said, let's form a Friends of Beit Hatfutsot. Then, in 1992, Phyllis and Joel and David Sussman had gone on a trip to Latvia and Lithuania, and they came back and they said, in most of the little towns they'd been to, where once the town was full of Jews, you don't find anything Jewish anymore. And that's what's going to happen to the little towns of South Africa. Please, we have to do this, and we have to do it properly.
Our database is very comprehensive. We start off giving the background to the town. We write about the first Jewish settlers that arrived. We list all the people that we find in the sources we have. We look at telephone directories, lists that we've got from the archives of the rabbis or the reverends who were ministering to the congregation. And then our database goes on to talk about the institutions that were in the towns. Villages often didn't have institutions, they may have had a very small community. We find though that even the tiniest place was very Zionistic in the early years. So the Zionist record actually was first published in 1907, and then as the support grew, they had a publication, the actual Zionist Record newspaper, that they would give to every community, no matter how small it was. They would deliver papers to those villages and towns.
The idea was that we were going to do a database on each place, and that maybe at the end of it all, we would publish a book. But when we saw what we had, and from the tiniest little town, we write about a Jew who's at a railway siding and has a little shop. And we write about him because he was there on his own or with a little family who remained Jewish. He'd wait for his kosher meat to come on the block of ice on the train, and he lived there, and that's how he made a living. Now that's one person. In other towns, something like Benoni, there were 2,000 Jews. But we don't want to leave out the single little Jew, because if you think of the South African community at its height, all those Jews, most of them stem from the early settlers who came. And if they had just come out to South Africa and not carried on their faith and not carried on their however much they did in religion or Jewishness, there wouldn't have been a Jewish community as it is now. And the South African Jewish community is a unique community.
I think they originally planned 5. When we did the Free State, we uncovered so much archival material. We were going to do the Free State together with KwaZulu-Natal. We had to separate the books. The Free State became one book, KwaZulu-Natal became the other book. And when we were going to do Gauteng, we were going to do one book until we realized what we are dealing with. So now we've divided it into volume 6, which is the East Strand and Eastern and Southern Highveld, and the West Strand, Western Highveld. So from 5 books we've now become a 7-book.
Common theme through all the areas was that if a Jew settled somewhere, he would make something of himself. In most towns there was a Jewish mayor. They were on the town council. They were on the Chamber of Commerce. They were in positions, president of societies, of the HOD, the Hebrew Order of David, if there was one. But the first thing they did, as soon as there were enough people, was to form a congregation. And before they formed a congregation, if they wanted to have prayers, they found people from neighbouring towns to come and make a minyan. And they would have prayers in a little hotel lounge or in somebody's house. They kept the festivals. They kept up their Jewishness, and that was the most important thing, because here we all are as Jews, second and third and whatever generation. And that would not have happened if they had just come and assimilated straight away.
The researcher has a research questionnaire where there are different topics she has to focus on, and then have people generously come forward with their personal information. You know, we like to use archival historical documents because you'll find that 20 people have 20 versions of an event, and the minute books are our vital source, primary source, where we'll say this was what took place, never mind what everybody else remembers. You know, we will use our primary sources as our main source of information. Everything we are given by people about events, we use anecdotal, unless we want their personal family histories. And of course they would know their family histories, although one son will remember one thing, another daughter will remember a different thing. You know, it does happen. So that is how we gather our information.
People who've emigrated come back and they want to see where their grandfather's buried. They want to know. Somebody came in the other day and Ilona was happily able to show them a marriage certificate, because we have copies of these sometimes, because he had to prove that his mother was Jewish. And nobody could help him. And we had the marriage certificate. So it's very fulfilling, it's very worthwhile that we can actually help people. People from all over the world are writing to us.
I'm very passionate about what I do. You have to be a detective to love this work. You have to want to know why things happened, and if things don't make sense, you have to investigate further. And I love doing that. I've always been a detective. I think I was born a detective.